In a world of 350 billion movie podcasts, two chumps have decided that now is the time for cult movies to engage in combat. Disagreements will be had, blood may be spilled, and voiceover artists most definitely will not be paid. This is Cult Film Face-Off.
Hello and welcome to episode 13 of Cult Film Face-Off. My name is Chuck Rovers. With me as usual is Nick Leonard.
Hello.
This episode we're going to be looking at two films from two superstars of the straight-to-DVD era, Olivier Gruner and Mark Dacascos. So we're looking at Nemesis from 1992 and Drive from 1997. We'll start off with Nemesis from 1992. Alex, a disillusioned cyborg police officer, is coerced into tracking down his former partner who is about to sell important data to a band of cyborg terrorists. Nemesis.
Alex Rain is a human being. His life is more dangerous with each sunrise.
He should die for what he's done. Get him!
In a future false world, he stands for truth.
He's a cop, all right.
In a violent world, violence is his life. He has what they must have.
Jared's mind and soul, Alex.
In a world where humanity is measured in percentages, only Alex Rain knows the path to redemption, to the cyborg enemy. He is their nemesis.
Olivier Gruner. I mentioned his name to you a few weeks ago when we discussed this episode, and you'd never heard of him.
No.
Did you recognise him when you saw him in the film?
I didn't recognise him, but he's a cross between Eric Roberts and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Okay, that's not bad, yeah.
With neither of their screen presence.
Okay, that's fair to say as well. The only reason I'd heard of him is because Nemesis came out in 92, and I remember a couple of the trashier film magazines I read at the time. And, in that sort of time, you'd often turn on the TV late at night, ITV, and there'd be... The format was two guys sat in their lounge and they'd be talking about trashy films. It was like public access almost. But I saw these two guys talking about, Olivier Gruner, he's going to be the next big thing. So his name has always been in my memory, and I've never seen anything he's done since.
So this is the first film that you've seen Olivier Gruner in?
Yes, and it's I wanted to see it in 92, and I finally got around to it.
So what do you think?
Well, I don't really know where to start. For what did you?
No. I asked the question.
Okay. First of all, I will say that it's absolutely, totally, and utterly incoherent. It's one of those films that has so much plot and so much dialogue and so many needless scenes that I got completely confused. I didn't know who was who. I didn't know who was a cyborg and who wasn't. Who was with the police? Were the police the good guys? When it starts off with a really, really nice action scene. Actually, I thought
the opening sequence was brilliant.
Yeah, no doubt.
The opening 10 minutes. I mean, I watched this. I've been heavily sedated this week, and I thought to myself, I was like, am I just being a fucking idiot? Do I not get this because I'm on a lot of codeine right now, or is it because it is incoherent twaddle? Yeah. So it's quite reassuring to my head that you had the same problems with it. Yeah, it was a fucking mess. It was a complete mess.
Yeah, no doubt.
There was no justification of what was going on, and kind of I didn't get any of it. What was done really well is the opening sequence was brilliant. It was beautifully shot, edited, loads of effective camera stuff, stunts, squibs, explosions. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is brilliant.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Once that 10 minutes was over, and Olivier's getting more screen time, and he's sitting down with a lot of models who are extremely tall, I was like, okay, I'm starting to rub my head now. What's actually happening?
Yeah. That opening sequence, though, it was
really powerful. I mean, it ends in a complete riff of RoboCop.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, this film rips off many.
It rips off loads of films that are far better than this film.
Yes, no question.
You've got RoboCop. You've got Escape from New York. You've got Blade Runner.
Yeah, no doubt. But for a start to a film that I wasn't particularly looking forward to,
I was amped.
It's the same ludicrous thing you see in a lot of action films, whereby it's loads of people firing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bullets that don't do any damage to anyone. It's just people firing guns. But it was choreographed so well, and there were shots in it that that I've seen in video games but not in films. There's one shot in particular where the hero's firing a gun over like a mound, and
they're on the other mound.
They're all ducking behind it, and I just thought I've seen that it's all in the same frame. I was like, that's such a nice shot. Why have I not seen
this director composes shots really nicely. This is the whole what I was seeing in this film again and again was really nice widescreen shots that were filmed really, really well.
Yeah.
This guy is kind of Albert. What's his name? Albert Pyong. Like knows how to like frame shots, and the action sequence was kind of like was tantamount to that. There is good action sequences interspersed throughout this movie, right? I would like to have seen a bit more ass whipping and less gunplay in this. There's no hand-to-hand combat.
That was what I thought was really weird, because Olivier Gruner was like a kickboxing superstar, and it's like it's just a lot of people shooting guns.
He doesn't ever do any kickboxing or anything like that. You know, he's a poor man's Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, he is, definitely he is. But it was so strange that all of the action is gunplay. There's no. What
I thought was interesting about the gunplay is, I think this could possibly be the first example of using, which has been done loads of times since that, is using the shooting into the floor to get to other levels of the building, which they do amazingly in The Raid.
Yeah.
Is this the first time that's been? It's the first time I think, in terms of dating back, that I've seen that being done.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it before, and I was so. Basically, Olivier Gruner keeps repeatedly shooting holes in the floor, so he plummets through a building and just crushes through.
Other levels of baddies, other levels of.
And again, there was a shot underneath him, and you saw the floors just going flying through. I thought, wow, he went to the trouble to get that shot. I thought that's really, really nice. And again, in the opening gunfight, the way the camera's sort of flowing around, and then it goes behind him, and then it goes over his shoulder, and it goes. And I was just like, this is stuff you see in video games, but it really works in an action sequence. I thought it was really terrifically shot, considering Albert Pion, however you want to say it, is not, he's now renowned for being a bit of a Schlottmeister and sort of cutting corners and stuff, but he can shoot action really well.
The only time I've ever heard of Albert Pion, because I looked on IMDb of the other films he's done the Doll Man films.
Yeah.
And I've been sent clips in the past of action sequences in Doll Man, which is like just amped up action. There's like a 13-inch protagonist who shoots people and he just blows up. And it's like super violent, super over the top. That's the only thing that I'd had before coming to Nemesis.
Have you not seen Cyborg before?
Yes, yeah. Well, I have seen Cyborg, right? And I don't really remember a lot about. I mean, because I was as most people were at that time, well, of our age at that time, I was watching a shitloads of Van Damme. Cyborg wasn't a film. I would return to Bloodsport and Kickboxer and watch those two loads. I remember seeing Cyborg once at a mate's house.
Never went back.
And never going back and seeing it again.
Same here, exactly same here. I think I don't even think I got to the end of it. But fans of that film say that Albert Pion... How are we pronouncing it? Is that how we're saying it?
It's kind of like a gun.
Albert Pion. I keep calling him Albert Pine. I don't think that's right. But yeah, I saw... fans of... Cyborg say that the recent director's cut that he did, that's available, I think, for free online, that's completely different, way darker. That's meant to really be quite.
Well, maybe that's a future episode.
Possibly the old version versus yeah, because it's meant to be to completely reshape it. Yeah. This is an incoherent film, and I think another problem is that Olivier Gruner's accent is very, very thick, and the opening monologue, I didn't understand a fucking word the first time I heard it. I rewound it, and I think I got most of it, where he's kind of pontificating about what it is to be human versus to be a robot.
I think he's 85% robot.
Yeah, but
I got that.
That's the other thing. At the beginning, he basically gets taken out, and you see that he's already a robot, and then they have the RoboCop rip-off sequence where he's being worked on, and you're like, so... And it appears almost to be a flashback, and then some people are police. There's moments where I thought, is this going to be really interesting, where people are trying... The police they're enslaved to the robots, and they're going to take out the human race, and this guy's trying to... And I thought, that sounds interesting. And then I honestly, I could not tell you. Go on Wikipedia and look up the synopsis to Nemesis. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I was trying to read it, trying to just be as literal minded as possible and try and see if it makes any sense. It doesn't.
No, I got quite frustrated with myself by 3/4 way through, so I was like, I have got no semblance of who his ex-boss is.
Yeah.
What's been happening? I get that he's trying to get back to his love, he's kind of communicating from the videos that he's seeing and stuff. But this is like obviously a big deal. But they've only got 2 guys after him, and then you've got the guy in Hawaii and the red heads are after him.
Yeah, there's another gang, but
and then you've got the girl is she a robot? Because she's very dexterous and she saved his ass. But is she a robot or is she not a robot? We're not told if she's a robot.
Is she with the police? Is she with the gang? Or is she the quote unquote terrorist? There are so many characters in it, and I'm just like, who, why, and it's complicated for absolutely no reason. I just wish some fans of this film. I read a lot of like fan blog posts of this film, and they're just like, "Oh, it's all out action," and I wish it was all out action.
I've read fan reviews of this who go, forget Blade Runner. This is the film about robots and about cyborgs and
I'd like to just speak to one of those people and just say, can you try and make the plot make sense to me? That's all I want. I just want to know that it was a coherent. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's wholly incoherent.
I think one of the film's major investors must have been a model agency owner who had a sideline in hairpieces.
Oh yeah,
because in 90 minutes. Olivier Gruner has 4 very distinct different weaves. The Rambo being my favourite.
Oh, okay, I remember that one. Yeah, for sure.
He has 4 massively different weaves. Did you not notice that?
No, I don't think I did.
When we cut this to video,
okay, I'll put in all of them.
Make sure you show all of his marks.
All right, okay.
Loads of tour models who can't act. The end fight. What do you think of the end fight?
What happened in the end fight? I mean, I only watched this morning.
The end fight. So the guy that's been chasing him down from the government agency turns into a stop motion.
Oh boy!
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. I think that is an example of the shoddiest special effect. I mean, considering it's 1992, Ray Harryhausen would be flipping in his grave. He was doing stuff in the 50s that was pissing on this.
Yeah, I know, it's true. It completely sticks out, and it's also bizarre because the animatronics in the film are really good.
Like, there's a scene with the eyeball.
The eyeball comes out.
The eyeball is fantastic,
no doubt.
And then it completely fucks the pooch at the end by showing you some special effects that are completely retarded.
That end sequence, the fight with the stop motion droid on the plane,
terrible.
It looks like they realised they didn't have an ending. The release date was in 2 weeks, and they got someone to knock it out on a computer. It's shockingly bad.
It's an Amiga 500.
Yeah, that's right. It's Gene Warren, though, the visual effects director, he did True Lies, Last Action Hero, Strange Days, Terminator 2. He's one of the greats, and that's why I think some of the animatronics in it, especially when those cyborgs get decapitated.
Oh no, there's an opening up of like faces that are done well.
It looks. I mean, I thought that was really effective. I mean, at the end of the day, there are really decent action scenes in this, and they're really well shot. I mean, considering that, and I think this is a thing about Albert Pyung's career. He shoots films in a lot of like derelict buildings and the condemned buildings and the building sites and just places where he can basically shoot for free. There's genuine invention to the way some of it's shot, but I just wish there was more because the plot.
He shoots some really nice stuff. I mean, there's a sequence at the end. I think it's one of the closing shots of the film where he's hunched over and the rain's coming, and I was just like, fuck, that's a really well composed CinemaScope shot.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And the girl comes up, they walk off. I'm just like, this guy's got a really good eye for something quite iconic.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately he's got a script that fucking stinks.
I also don't know. I mean, having seen sort of snippets of many of his other films, I've seen so many trailers of his.
He makes a great trailer. His movies condensed down make very good trailers.
But I've seen somewhere I think without a budget, he really looks like an absolute schlockmeister. I think the reason he's got such a reputation as he has is that a lot of the films he's made in the last sort of 20 years, or the last 10 years, I should say, are made on no... I mean, have you seen the trailer for Nemesis 4? I think...
Well, this spawned 4 sequels, yeah.
That's right. And there's one... Oh, no, it's called Cyborg Nemesis. It might be the 5th one. It's in...
They got 5?
I think it's 5 or it's 4. It's called Cyborg Nemesis, which I don't know whether he's trying to do a crossover with Cyborg and Nemesis. But it's in kind of limbo. They shot it in 2014. Steven Seagal's in the credits, but he's not in the trailer. And I'm like, is that real?
2014?
Yeah.
Tubby Seagal.
Watch the trailer.
But Tubby Seagal's in this.
Apparently,
2014 Seagal.
He would be in the trailer if he featured, and then it would have got released.
He's a good cook.
Who is?
Steven Seagal.
Is he? Is he a good cook? Are you talking about?
Siege.
Oh, right. Casey Ryback. Okay. Find the trailer for Cyborg Nemesis because that's hilariously funny. It looks like they made it on a budget of basically nothing, and it looks like they're trying to convince you that they've shot a film that it doesn't actually exist. Watch that; it's funny. Olivier Gruner is funny. Like I haven't heard of him.
He's funny.
Well, no, he's not funny at all.
He's bland.
He is bland. He brings expressionless to a new level. But considering I haven't heard of him since 1992,
what's he been up to?
He's had a really consistent. He's like all of those movies, like Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren. No, action movies. Olivier, if you look at anyone's IMDb page, such as Steven Seagal, Dolph Lundgren, Olivier Gruner, Mark Dacascos, any of those people. At any one time, they always have 4 films that are either in active development or have been shot and are waiting to come out. And I always just think, is there a small core audience of Olivier Gruner fans waiting for his next film? Or are these films made purely to put out there so that...
Have you heard this guy's name?
Olivier Gruner?
In the last 10 years?
No, never.
But we have heard Dolph Lundgren in The Expendables.
Oh, of course. But I mean, this guy has had a career. He's making movies, and they're getting made, and they're getting distributed. I'm curious about if this guy actually.
But is he actually? What I want to know about Olivier Gruner is that he's a kickboxing champion, right? He's obviously criminally underused in this film because he doesn't fucking throw a kick.
I think he kicks one guy.
Did he kick once?
Yeah, one guy he kicks.
I mean, he's just getting guns out the whole time.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to know is there the film that he is there must be for him to have a fan base. He's got to be tasty in
but has he got a fan base? That's what I wonder. He's had such a consistent career. And
do you think he is less dry and less bland in other films? I mean, obviously, because the whole thing about the fact that he is playing a character that is 85% that you can go, well, the reason why he's duller than dishwater is that he's a cyborg. Fucking Arnie was a cyborg, but he still had charisma.
He doesn't look comfortable in front of a camera at all.
That's what I'm getting at. Who does look comfortable behind a camera, maybe a bit too comfortable behind a camera, is Brian James. Right?
Back again.
Now, back again so soon on the podcast, right? Now, I loved him in this film. He sounds like a German from Hello Hello.
It does.
I mean... How does he get away with it? How does he get away with every film that he's in
having an appalling accent?
Is it like we need somebody to really ham up this accent?
Yeah, it's a shocking accent. After watching this, I was like, Brian James fascinates me because he has been terrific in really terrific films, and he has been terrible in terrible films. He never lifts bad material or sings good material. He is only ever as good or bad as the film he's in. I'm just like, I want to become like the world's foremost Brian James sort of enthusiast because I'm just like, how does he's always exactly at the same pitch.
He's the tone of the film that he's in.
Exactly. I mean, because him and his German accent are absolutely shocking. They're as shocking as his Cockney accent in Tango and Cash, easily. And he's there just...
And it's shocking, he's slipping to the Caribbean accent in Waterhill's...
Southern Comfort, yeah. Brian James, fascinating guy. I assume he's going to crop up at other points in this podcast, but did you spot Tom Jane? In bed, just posing with his... That's right, posing with his backside.
But physically... It's nuts how he looked like a 12-year-old boy.
He was young.
Obviously, The Punisher.
Clearly young.
This
is many years before that, but he's like.
But he's not. He's an adult. But his body form is like I thought was.
I reckon he's probably like.
Looking at his body form.
I think he's like 19.
What?
He's like
early 20s.
You reckon? He looked like a young, fresh-faced boy. That's why they killed him off. He was a nice... Hey, sorry, man, I thought we had a deal, man.
Just the way you like him.
But Tom Jane was genuinely quite shit. Jackie L. Haley turns up at the end as well, randomly. But in terms of this being a quite a sloppily made film, I think Albert Pyne's film, having watched some of his trailers of his films, the audio quality is always suspect, and there's a lot of really bad audio in this film. The gunshots in the first scene are
there's inconsistency in the mix.
Yeah, there is.
There's things that jump up and jump down.
For sure, but the gunfire in the opening scene, I've seen RoboCop 300 times. I was hearing these noises. I was like, that's gunfire that's ripped straight from RoboCop. It's exactly the same sounds. And then there's a shower shower scene. I remember there was the fight in the shower.
Oh, yeah.
And the sound effects were really, really cheap. And there's one bit where
Do you recognise that guy in the shower?
No.
I think it's from Cyborg.
Oh, the bad guy from Cyborg. Yeah, of course it was. Yeah, I only recognise him from the poster. But there's a lot of audio looping, ADR work that's really bad. Sort of doesn't fit. I don't think Albert Pine gives much of a shit about audio, which is something that you should really care about. And there's some badly timed looping and stuff. But yeah, this is just schlock. There's some really decent animatronics in it, but it's completely incoherent. Am I glad I watched it? I don't know if I am.
When I was younger, I think I went to something like a seaside resort, like Eastbourne, and you'd get on like basically what was a mat that you'd rub your feet on.
Oh right.
And it would go loop. It would go loop, loop, loop. There's an action sequence in this film where someone's on top of him, and it's meant to be like a rough industrial area, and it just goes loop, loop,
that's right.
loop. Like it's the most created for that scene. Yeah. There's nothing industrial about it.
No, right.
It loops and loops and loops. He's shooting the guy, completely thumbed in.
I quite like that bit though. I mean, I think the problem is that there's so many.
There's no way there'd ever be,
of course not. Can you imagine
that kind of thing with a loop?
A workman throwing something down. Oh fuck! He's got stuck again.
He's got stuck because I've got 4 humps before I get to the bottom of it.
But I think
it was dumb.
The problem is that there's so many dry conversations that you don't care about, and that probably don't mean anything at all about how someone's potentially double crossing someone. Someone's on a different side. But when action happens, you're like, thank you.
The action is a blessed release from the convoluted fucking plot.
Yeah, it's a shame the plot. I'd really love to see a half an hour.
Well, I'd love to see Albert Pune with like a decent script and story, because he can shoot. He can shoot action and he can frame shots pretty fucking well.
The thing is, Albert Pune made a film called Ticker with Tom Sizemore.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's unwatchably bad. I mean, badly directed, badly staged.
What's Ticker about?
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. It is a bad Steven Seagal film, and I mean that in the entirety of his either. It's bad even by his standards. So I don't know what. Maybe we should do another. I'd like to do a Dollman versus something.
Dollman. Well, there's been Dollman versus Demonic Toys.
Dollman versus Demonic Toys. We should do that. That's an episode waiting to come. But yeah, I was impressed with the choreography. There's not a whole lot to say, so it's really disappointingly. It's gibberish, really. So
it was entertaining.
Was it?
It had its moments.
Yeah, it did have its moments.
It had its moments, but it's a complete clusterfuck of a narrative. You don't know what's going on.
When they got to that sort of 10-15 minutes, they're like, oh, we've planted a bomb in you. I'm like, oh, why didn't they just start with that scene? Right. All you want is a guy's got a bomb in him and he has to find someone. Perfect.
Yeah, but they're more concerned with having 2-minute scenes and then jumping forward 6 months for a 10-minute scene with a different haircut.
Yeah, true that. It is all about the Barnet.
Hi, Barnet. Talk the Northern Line.
Okay, right. Okay, well, let's move on. That was Nemesis from 1992. Our second film is Drive from 1997. Our listener Andrew Smith suggested that we do this episode, where he suggested that we discuss Drive. He is a game designer extraordinaire. He works he's the head honcho of a studio called Spiltman Studios. They made a game called Tango Fiesta. Did I show you this? It's like a top-down, old-school shoot 'em up. I thought I showed you it. I guess I didn't. It's on PC. It's really enjoyable. I haven't played their new game Lazarus, but it's out soon, so it's definitely worth checking those out. But yeah, thanks to Andrew for suggesting this. Drive 1997. Following an early morning brawl in a bar, enigmatic loner Tony Wong kidnaps a local barfly and goes on the run from a ruthless group of hitmen who desperately want something that he's got. Drive.
Call off the search in Hong Kong. Toby Wong just hit Frisco.
Toby Wong was made to survive anything. But now, Hong Kong's greatest living weapon is on the run from his creator.
Prepare a group of our finest. You're going hunting.
And his one ticket to freedom,
You follow me, he dies.
is sorry they ever met.
Under arrest! I'm the kidnappee. He's the kidnapper.
The only thing worse than being killed
We're going down. I ain't going down there? We're going.
Is becoming partners.
Look out!
Where's the party at? Where's the party at? Where's the party at? So I can hit 'em up with a laptop impact. Where's the party at?
Mark Dacascos.
I've got a funny feeling we're gonna see some familiar faces.
Kadeem Hardison.
Well, your definition of funny and mine must be completely different because I don't see a damn thing funny.
And Brittany Murphy.
You want your mind?
Okay, Drive, 97. My first time. Had you seen it before?
No.
What do you think?
I'd not seen it, but I'd heard of it. I'd seen it in petrol stations' video rental racks.
Yeah, I think I had as well.
Is where I'd seen it.
Yeah.
There's a lot to like in this film. There's some really genuinely well choreographed action sequences.
Yeah, no doubt.
What I liked about it is that it really reminded me of old school Jackie Chan films. It reminded me of like Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan, 1980s, Meals on Wheels. There's even a fucking there's a Sammo Hung reference in the film.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I absolutely loved it. I mean, I thought it was just a fantastic. I mean, the thing is, I watched Nemesis and this back to back. So when this had two terrific fight sequences in 10 minutes, I just thought this is already better than Nemesis. And as a vehicle for a talented martial artist, it makes sense rather than having him running around shooting people. One thing that I really made me laugh initially is that he's so nimble and fast. Mark Dacascos, when he's, he looks impossibly slick doing what he does, and whenever any sort of the bad guys have an opportunity to shoot him, someone will shout, "Shoot his legs!" which never stopped making me laugh, because it was like somebody, you're at someone's house playing their video game and they're shouting to you how to beat the boss, "Shoot his legs, shoot his legs," which I thought was really funny, because he's so nimble. They're just like, that's the source of his power, shoot his legs. You actually find out that there's actually a reason why they're saying to shoot his legs, but I found it really, I like the fact that they left it long enough for it to be amusing before they actually reveal why. I just like my genre films simple. It's so simple. There's a MacGuffin, there's a wisecracking sidekick, there's a bit of, it's so straightforward. You have no questions. I was like, this is bliss compared to fucking Nemesis, which, pretentious is probably unfair, but I mean, just felt the desire to have a surfeit of plot where there wasn't any needed. And I just went with it. There's, when the hero and his sidekick are handcuffed together, I just thought there's no reason for them to be handcuffed together, but I know that I'm going to get a really good action scene based around them being handcuffed.
You're going to get the wire.
Exactly.
You know it's going to come up.
And it was that fight scene when they're handcuffed together was really good, and very reminiscent of Jackie Chan. I don't think the choreography was quite as good, and some of the gags were very, there was a lot of mugging. It was very, very extraordinarily broad, but I was like, I've never seen an American-made movie do this as well, I don't think. And a lot of the fans of this film say that they're just like, this is a proper traditional Chinese style.
No, but it is.
Yeah.
It is, and it's Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung, but it's also the Harvest films as well. It's also there's Harvest. There is some really well done close hand-to-hand combat in very confined spaces. There's a hotel room scene where he puts the shoes on his hand.
Oh, that's just funny.
It goes on for about 7 minutes.
Yeah.
But you're like, this is like, there's a very, very famous choreographer, Wu Ping. It's not on the level of Wu Ping, but it's done really, really well.
Yeah.
The baddie. So the baddie, the kind of like the hick baddie, did he remind you of anybody, considering the fact that we had been at Fright Fest quite recently?
No.
Kim Newman.
You reckon? what, in terms of how he looks or how he acted?
Well, I don't think I've never seen how Kim Newman acts, but his garb when he turned up in the cowboy hat.
I see what you mean. Yeah, he doesn't.
And Jack Nicholson's old friend turned up, Tracy Walter's Headshot.
Yeah.
There's a scene in this film which I think was obviously a bit unintentionally funny, because for the first half an hour, Mark Dacascos, he's very cold, very calculated, cyborg, and then kind of their bonding sequence. I rounded this bonding sequence 3 times. They're basically playing this hip hop track, which the kind of chorus is "Where's the party at?" Right? It needs to be a GIF, and it needs to be on the internet.
Oh, with them bouncing?
They're bouncing in the car, and Mark Dacascos is camper than a row of pink tents. I like that a lot. And Walter the Einstein Frog Show.
Yeah, what the fuck is that? Is that a real thing? I meant to Google that. Is that actually a real program? I thought it was. It was a reference to something that maybe someone had made it.
It was really good.
I was. What was so surprising about this was it's a really irreverent film, like really off the wall. Loads of really broad. There's Brittany Murphy turns up playing.
That is terrible.
You reckon?
She's awful. No, she's awful.
She turns up playing the world's horniest woman, who's also.
She is awful. The only negative of this film is Brittany Murphy, right?
I thought,
she's teeth-grindingly annoying. She's oversexed, she's a car geek, and she acts like a 6-year-old.
Yeah, but I think that's the whole. She's ditzy to the power of 5 million, but it never felt out of place because the film is fucking wacky. That's nothing.
She's the one element that it became clunky. When those two are together, Mark Dacascos and you know the Black Drifter, who the comedy element, great. When she came in, jarring.
I didn't find it jarring because the film's so off the wall anyway. It's an extraordinarily broad, cartoonish performance from her. But I thought, and I also thought it was interesting that she really wanted to bang the sidekick. You know, normally in these films, like she's obsessed. You know, a woman's obsessed with the hero.
She's so sexual. She wants to bang the car she's talking about.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I didn't mind her at all. I thought she was actually good considering that she was playing something that was so. This is a really, really offbeat. Really unusual and unexpected. The other thing I was going to say about you were saying that about the hotel, they really don't overdo the locations. This film kind of takes place I reckon the hotel sequence is a third of the film, and then the final third is where the final.
But there's great location in this film. It's a proper action road movie.
But there isn't. But if you think about how many different settings there were in Nemesis, every scene, every 2 minutes.
It was kind of post-apocalyptic world, and then they were in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Well, that was it. And then they're in the kind of Amazonian jungle.
And then they were in a building site, and then they put things in different. Everything had to be different, and whereas here. They have a half-hour sequence at the hotel. There's different rooms in the hotel, obviously, but it's like they don't feel the need to overcomplicate things by just setting it in different places.
It was slick. It really ran. I really enjoyed this film. I really enjoyed this film, and it's kind of like I'm really glad that we've been fucking. This has been suggested.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it gets deliriously silly. I mean, when
it gets towards the Apollo 14 bar and grill.
When they drive up to that, and you see
karaoke. There's no need for him to go more camp than he did in that 30-second segment. But they want him to go really camp because it's a bit matinee. I mean, the thing is, it's a bit matinee. It's a bit kind of. It's fine because when it comes down to brass tacks, Mark Dacascos can kick ass really fucking well.
Yeah.
So I forgive him for them making him go really camp because when he lays the smack down, he absolutely delivers. The fight sequence when they bring the cyborg to go and have the face off.
Yeah.
There's some fucking great wire work going on in there.
But I really like that when he's just singing that song for no other reason than just like why the fuck not?
To be odd.
Yeah, why not?
It's trying to be really odd.
I don't know. It just feels like it's just like why not? Like when they drive up.
Tracy Walter through the entire film is eating stuff. Every scene he's in, he's eating something different.
That makes sense. One of my favourite lines of his, where someone makes a really bad analogy about is it cupcakes, and he's like, don't ever talk shit about cupcakes
because he's always eating.
That makes perfect sense now. I was like, why the fuck did he just have like give him attitude about dissing cupcakes? Compared to Nemesis wants to be a million things, it's none of them. This just wants, it's like a puppy dog, it just wants to be consistently entertaining, and it is nothing more than that. Entertaining from start to finish. The director's had the most interesting career I've ever seen. I mean, he's worked as an editor, he worked primarily in special effects. Yeah, he was a writer director, he's worked in makeup, he's done second unit stuff. He was credited as a sculptor on Evil Dead 2 and Alien Resurrection, and he directed like some episodes of Power Rangers and like Guyver.
Yeah, no, he did a lot of Power Rangers and Guyver.
But the action, I mean, I'm admittedly not an expert on martial arts films, but this seemed to me to be a perfect blend of the very, very fast cutting that you see in American action movies and the much more leisurely sort of Chinese style where you can actually enjoy the fighting. I mean, there periodically is a bit of chop to these fight scenes, but I just thought it worked, and I was really, I really enjoyed it. A friend of mine, when I was back in probably early 2000 kept saying, "We got to watch this film, it's amazing." I was like, "Fuck, I ain't watching that," because the cover of the English version is not particularly great. It's just Mark Dacascos hanging off something, and like, I thought, I'm not watching that rubbish. He's like, "Trust me, it's great." I wish I watched it.
No, I was really pleasantly surprised. I watched Nemesis before this as well. This was a breath of fresh air compared to Nemesis. It was really concise. It nailed action scenes really well, and even the chemistry. You know, we've not talked about the chemistry between the two leads is really genuinely good.
Yeah, I agree. And he's a really decent actor. Actually, Mark Dacascos was really good as well.
Dacascos was solid. I
thought everyone in it, and that's a really big plus.
Have you seen any other Mark Dacascos films?
I'm pretty sure he's in that French film where they're hunting for a wolf. Is it?
Oh, is he in that?
Is he in that?
That's
I'm sorry,
a great film.
Let me check that right now.
That's a great film. I've only seen it once. He's in Crying Freeman.
He is in Crying Freeman, that's right. I've never seen that.
Good. He's really good in Crying Freeman.
Brotherhood of the Wolf, yeah, he was in Brotherhood of the Wolf. Yeah, I thought that was him. He's had a much more distinguished career than Olivier Gruner. He's also the chairman on the TV show Iron Chef.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah, the last 5-6 years of his career has been. I think he's in a Marvel series.
Yeah, he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think. Yeah. But yeah, Drive it really stands out. Do you know which version you watched?
Yeah, director's cut.
You watched the director's cut? Yeah, apparently I borrowed a Region 1 US DVD. That's the version I watched. The director's cut has a load of superfluous information. I mean, it's tiny little bits. There's tiny little scenes that they're mostly it's not action that's been.
So there's no action added to the director's cut.
No. I think there's one tiny amendment to one of the fight scenes, but yeah, it's scenes that could probably be lost. But I suppose it didn't really hurt it if you didn't have a negative reaction to them. I suppose. Okay, all right. Well,
I enjoyed my time at Drive. I was pleasantly surprised from seeing it at a petrol station shelves and thinking it was going to be. It was a really well put together film.
Really well made. Yeah, I'm surprised that Steve Wang hasn't directed more.
No, I know. I'd encourage anybody listening to our podcast is to search it out.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of combat films, you're a fan of Jackie Chan, Ong Bak, any of that. Give this a look. It's well worth your time.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, it's just relentlessly entertaining. Which is better, Nemesis or Drive?
I'm pretty
hard one, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we're gonna have to
call in an adjudicator.
Yeah, quite possibly. Drive hands down.
Yeah, likewise, Drive hands down. Drive is a terrific film. Nemesis had some great action sequences, but I wouldn't recommend seeking it out. If you can find an abbreviated version on YouTube, that's the version to watch. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. This has been episode 13. Next episode 14, we are going to be looking at two sci-fi films from the 80s. We're going to be looking at Battle Beyond the Stars from 1980, and that's going to be versus Space Hunter Adventures in the Forbidden Zone from 1983. The episode after that, episode 15, we're going to be looking at two British comedies from this, what are they called? The comic strip movement. Movement? They weren't a movement. they were a comedy troupe. The comedy troupe. Episode 15 is going to be Mr. Jolly Lives Next Door from 87 versus The Supergrass from 87 as well, or 86, I think. Two British comedies there. Thank you very much for listening to this. Check us out Facebook, not SoundCloud, Twitter, YouTube, all the other shiz. Thank you for listening.
Look after you.
Say that again.
Look after yourselves and each other.
Laters. Goodbye.
Cult Film Face-Off.
To prepare for his role, Gruner, a former kickboxing champion, went on a special training program.
It was very tough. I dropped down to 4% body fat, and it affects your nerves a lot. So sometimes my behavior was kind of weird, but that's the way it is when you have 4% body fat.